Welcome back to another video here on the RiskWell channel. I'm really excited for this video because it's the first of a series that I'm calling Insurance Agent Answers ChatGPT, or in this case, GPT-4. Generative AI is probably one of the most exciting things to come about in my lifetime, certainly right up there with the advent and the mass marketing of the internet itself. It's never been easier for you as the buyer of an insurance program to gain access to all the information you could possibly ever have a need for. The hard part is making sense of all of that information. It's definitely an overload kind of situation. What I'm going to be doing in this series of videos is providing context and my commentary on what ChatGPT and GPT-4 is putting out. In this first video, we're going to be asking the question, I'm the owner of a small business in the technology sector. Our renewal is coming up in 60 days. What are some questions I should be asking insurance agents when we interview them for our company? We're going to answer those questions and help you make a great decision with your technology insurance right after this. All right, so this is not going to be any kind of pitch fest for RiskWell and why we're amazing and you should work with us. I think that's definitely something you can figure out on your own if you're interested in having a conversation about your representation for risk and insurance planning. By all means, we'll make that information available here on the screen and in the description below. What I'm going to be doing in this video is literally just going through the answers that GPT-4 spits out and providing some content and context to help you make the best use of this kind of information. Now, sure, you can go to OpenAI's website and pay your subscription. I think it's like 20 bucks a month or something like that. You can go ask your own queries of GPT-4 whenever you want to. But my goal here is to provide additional insight and content and information that will help you make better sense and make better usability of what GPT-4 spits out, because as you'll see, there's a lot. So let's just dive right in here. 1, what's your experience in the tech sector? Do you specialize in any specific areas like software development, hardware manufacturing, etc.? I couldn't agree more. This is an amazing place to start because when you're shopping for new representation, everybody and their mom wants to win your business, and almost no one is going to say, I'm probably not a good fit for you. I don't actually have any specialized training. I don't really know how to do that. Nobody is going to say that, especially not if you post on social media or you send out something in your neighborhood group or on Nextdoor or whatever. Anyone that you talk to that sends a referral is going to be sending someone that they know that does a good job for them. The question is, are they experts in your kind of business? Because the more specialized your business is, the more specialized your representation should be. Any old generalist that does insurance doesn't necessarily mean they're the slightest bit qualified to be your representative. Question 2, can you provide examples of similar tech businesses you've worked with? Simple fact of the matter is, when you have more reps in the game, when you get to throw the ball more times, you get better at throwing the ball. When it comes to representing clients in niche business verticals like technology, like SaaS companies, like manufacturers of various components of the technology ecosystem, like service and repair, which is an area that we have a lot of experience in with the kind of folks like your Geek Squad back from Best Buy, and Nerds to Go is another franchise that we're very familiar with. Anything that is specialized needs to have experience. You don't want to be someone's on-the-job training, do you? I didn't think so. Question 3, how would you help us assess our potential risks and what types of coverage do we need? Risk assessment goes far beyond insurance. It goes into a field called risk management, of which a lot of folks think insurance and risk management are interchangeable terms. They really aren't. Insurance is nothing more than contractual transfer of risk from one party to another. Identifying the risk and figuring out how to analyze it, so what the extent of the risk is and where the risk is located, it is something that has to happen before we ever buy insurance for that risk. Because if you haven't identified and analyzed what the problem is and may be, then you don't even really know what you're buying insurance for. Again, insurance is nothing but the contractual transfer of risk from one party to another. You're literally taking money out of your bank account and paying an insurance company to take on your risk. But if you don't exactly know where that risk is located and what the source of that risk is, then you might be buying the wrong insurance or buying too much of it or not enough. You may have exposures you're not even aware of. So before you start thinking about buying an insurance policy, make sure you have an expert, an advisor who can help you figure out where the threats, where the risks are coming from. Next, question 4. How frequently will our policy be reviewed and potentially adjusted? We recommend no less than twice a year. At RiskWell, we do what we call a mid-year review, where we reach out and just check and see how things are going with our clients. It's a good time to touch base on revenue, on payroll, and make sure things are on track, see if there's any changes in the business, because over the course of 6 months, there may be differences in operations, there may be new ventures that are being contemplated, there may be mergers and acquisitions. There's any number of opportunities for things to come along that require adjustments to the risk and insurance program. So if your current advisor is not meeting with you at least once every 6 months or so, then we strongly recommend finding some adjustments there. When it comes to the renewal process, having a pre-renewal strategy meeting is a very good idea. We generally recommend 3 to 4 months out from the renewal, having a conversation with your representation going, hey, how are things looking in the market? Are you expecting any big changes? Should I be aware of any updates, etc.? If that's not happening, you need to be working with a representative who is going to have that kind of proactive communication. Number 5, can you explain how the claims process works in case we need to use our insurance? Very simply, is it in-house claims management with the carrier that your policy is written with, or is the claim handled by a third party, most often referred to as a TPA or third-party administrator? This is probably one of the most important distinctions in the claims process, because if the claims handling is in-house with the carrier, it's going to be a lot easier to make contact with a direct decision maker and be able to move things along. If you're dealing with a third-party administrator or a TPA, you're going to want to make sure that your representation has a lot more ability to assist you in getting through the red tape and making sure that things happen the way that they're supposed to. As a TPA, even from our perspective, is a high-quality commercial insurance office. TPAs are generally a pain in the butt to deal with for you and for us. So having those conversations ahead of time to set expectations on what's going on with the claim. Is it in-house claims management or is it a third-party claims administrator? These are the sorts of things that you want your representation walking you through ahead of time. All right, number 6 here. What is the cost of the premium? Are there options for payment plans? If you're dealing with someone who knows what they're talking about, if they're an expert in your business vertical, without even going out to market, they should be able to give you a very clear idea for ballpark what the cost of the program is going to be. For the mandatory stuff like general liability, commercial property, work comp, commercial auto, the big ticket items, you should have a very good idea of the general ballpark of how much something costs, especially if you do a lot of work in a particular business vertical. Now, some things you're not going to be able to know until you go out to market, until you gather all the information and get out there, because there's wide variety of cost. Things like cyber liability and data breach, employment practices liability. There's any number of things in the management liability realm, directors and officers and whatnot, that has a pretty wide range in cost. So certain things are not going to be able to know going into it, but the big 5, as we call them, we just mentioned them a little bit ago, you should have a good idea of how much those cost just from experience in the vertical. Number 7 here, how quickly do you respond to injuries or claims? And this is simply referred to as first notice of loss in most cases. So if there's an emergency, a legitimate emergency, someone has to go to the hospital, someone needs immediate medical attention, then there should be resources set up ahead of time for nurse triage, for first notice of loss, to make sure that you and everyone on your team who is going to be in an emergency situation knows exactly how to get the emergency treatment that is needed, and let the insurance stuff figure itself out after the emergency itself has passed. So if your agent or representation isn't giving you all of the resources necessary ahead of time, to file the claim, to deal with the emergency, to seek medical attention, to have the fire department on standby, or whatever it happens to be. Those things should be happening well in advance, so you don't get to the emergency situation itself and then scramble to figure out, okay, what's going on? Who do I call? What do we do? By that point, it's way too late. Question number 8, are you able to assist us with risk management strategies beyond insurance coverage? This is the thing, this is the line in the sand, the differentiator between an insurance agent and a risk advisor, because an insurance agent is just looking to sell you an insurance policy. All they're doing is asking enough questions so that they get enough information so that they can go to an underwriter and get a price and sell you a product. A risk advisor, a professional advisor, a trusted partner in your business is going to be able to go a lot further than just pitching product. They're going to be able to do things like set up loss assessments, set up property valuations, help you with loss controls and other operational standards, help you with building a safety manual for your team if you don't have one, if you don't have standards in place for OSHA compliance and other regulatory bodies. A good risk advisor and a good partner for the risk and insurance program for your business is going to do a whole lot more than just sell an insurance policy. That's for sure. Question 9, how would our policy cover us in the event of a cyber attack or data breach? Very important question in today's world, because for a lot of companies, especially if you have sensitive data in your possession, cyber liability and data breach is probably a massive, massive concern, a big exposure, and probably a driver of cost in your risk and insurance program. So asking these questions of your risk advisor, of your insurance agent, is critical if you're going to make sure that you have a well-rounded program in place. A lot of insurance agents don't like talking about cyber liability and data breach coverage because they don't understand it. It's scary. There's lots of big words and complicated terminology. I have a bit of an advantage in that regard because my dad was in IT growing up, and I've been around this stuff my entire life. I've been around computers since I pulled the pacifier out of my mouth. So the cyber liability and the data breach coverage is really important to me personally because I've seen firsthand what happens when it's not done correctly. But I mean, you can turn on the news and recognize what happens, whether it's Target or Best Buy or any of these other big companies that have breaches. The reality is, small and medium businesses have way more breaches than the big boys because they're a lot more vulnerable to attack. That's a separate conversation entirely. There's a whole series of videos here on our YouTube channel talking about cyber liability and data breach, so we're not going to get into that too far today, but you should definitely be asking that question when you're interviewing new agents. Question 10 here, there's only one more after this. Are there specific exclusions we should be aware of in the proposed policy? A good agent or risk advisor is going to know their policy, their product backwards and forward. They're going to know where the limitations are. They're going to be able to tell you the pros and the cons and shoot you straight. You should be able to get a comprehensive conversation done about what's not covered so that you can make other plans for other contingencies. So if something does happen and it's in that area that is excluded from coverage, you already have an idea of what your company is going to do to address that exposure. And last question here from GPT-4. Can you provide references from other clients, specifically in the tech sector? If you're a technology company decision maker and you're trying to have a cyber liability or other focused risk and insurance conversation, you're going to want to get references from existing clients in a similar, if not exact, vertical, or at the very least channel partners that this risk and insurance advisor has worked with for other referrals of similar businesses in your industry. Because without those kinds of referrals, those transfer of trust moments, you have a lot less confidence that you're working with someone who knows what they're doing. So how was that? Love to hear from you in the comment section. If you like this kind of content, if you want to see more from it, drop your suggestions down below. Love to hear from you on what the next ChatGPT engagement video is. Besides that, love to connect with you here at our office. Our information is right there on the screen. You can call us at 469-678-8001 or email us at commercial@riskwell.com. And that's it for today, boys and girls. Make it a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.